Hello everyone and welcome to another casual review. Today I'm talking about SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. I think it's fair to say that I needed something a little more uplifting after playing through Salt and Sanctuary, so this seemed to fit the bill just right. Now, as far as my knowledge of SpongeBob goes, I did watch the first 3 seasons of SpongeBob. I was pretty big with it around that time, but around the time that the movie dropped is where I dropped off personally. I know it's been going ever since then, so I've missed out on a ton of SpongeBob SquarePants. As far as the plot goes, Plankton of the Chum Bucket makes a machine that makes a ton of evil robots, and they took control of the Chum Bucket, and so he enlists SpongeBob and friends' help to destroy the evil robots and help them reclaim his Chum Bucket back. Basically, it's a 3D platforming collectathon, very similar to games of the Nintendo 64 and GameCube era. If you've ever played a game like Banjo and Kazooie, or maybe Super Mario 64 to an extent, then you kind of know what to expect here. The main collectible that you're going after are golden spatulas. Now you need to collect a certain amount of these golden spatulas in order to progress through the story and get through certain other levels, because taxis won't get you to other parts of Bikini Bottom unless you reach that golden spatula requirement. There's also Patrick's socks. These kind of act like blue coins in Super Mario Sunshine, where if you get 10 of Patrick's socks, then you can get a golden spatula. This doesn't really make sense to me because Patrick never wears socks. Maybe that's just the whole joke. Now, as your basic coin resource, it's just these little blob things called shiny things, I guess. These will also open up pathways in order to help you get more golden spatulas. And then you can buy golden spatulas using the shiny stuff from Mr. Krabs, because he is a very greedy man. As you are playing through these courses, you go to these bus stations, and that's what lets you cycle between certain characters. There's only 3 different ones. You mostly play as SpongeBob, obviously. You can play as Patrick, and you can play as Sandy Cheeks. Now, each of these characters has their own strengths and weaknesses. SpongeBob's like your basic all-around character. He's got his bubble wand that he does this little spin with. He can shoot up straight into the air or stomp onto the ground. And then as you progress through the game, you unlock 2 additional abilities for SpongeBob, a bubble bowl ability, and then this one little bubble torpedo. And I wish that you had just been able to start out with all of these abilities right off the bat, because it does warrant a little bit of backtracking if you're trying to 100% complete this game and get all of the golden spatulas, all of the socks, everything like that. Because even at the beginning of the game, one of the first levels that you go to is the jellyfish fields, and there are certain golden spatulas and collectibles that require you to have these additional abilities that you don't get until later in the game. So I'm not that big of a fan of that kind of thing, but just a minor complaint because it's just those 2 abilities. Now, Patrick, he can lift heavy things and throw them, mostly watermelon, but he can also like knock robots unconscious and throw the robots. And then he also like has this little belly thrust where he body slams people. Sandy Cheeks is obviously the best character, but they limit her use quite a lot. You can only use her on varying occasions, but she has lasso, so she has like this ranged ability, and then she has this hover, so after you do your double jump, she swings her lasso, and apparently that makes it so she just hovers slowly to the ground. And then she has a swing where she can swing from these big ol' Texas looking hooks, and that's just where she can like swing from Texas hook to Texas hook. Now, on top of all of that, each of these characters can do this slide maneuver, and this is probably my favorite part of the game, is where you slide down these tunnels, and it's just the more exciting for me. There's a lot of the times when you need to get to the bottom of the course in a certain amount of time, and that's just the most enjoyable part for me. Now, the only way you can cycle between these 3 characters is from a bus stop, and certain golden spatulas require you to play as certain characters, obviously, but when you go to certain levels, you obtain a quest of some sort. So like, let's say you encounter Mrs. Puffs, the driving instructor. Well, only SpongeBob can initiate and turn in that quest. So it's kind of annoying because like, even though you had met the requirements in order to obtain this golden spatula, if I'm playing as Patrick, I need to go find a bus stop, cycle to SpongeBob, and then go back to Mrs. Puffs to reclaim that reward, rather than just letting me play as any character. I understand certain platforming, you need to go find a bus stop and cycle between it, but just to turn in the quest, it just seems like any character should be able to do it. Other than that though, it's basically just like a straightforward 3D platformer. The controls are actually pretty good in my opinion, which is surprising, but I think my expectations might have been a bit too high for this game, because I would always hear, at least in my circle of the internet, I would hear praises about SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom, and they actually like remastered it with this rehydrated version, brought it back to modern platforms, and everyone was so excited, so I kind of had higher hopes for this, but it's just like a straightforward 3D platformer, and it's not bad or anything like that. I just heard a lot of good things about it, and I think the reason for that is because most games based off of a movie or TV show license are usually pretty bad, and in this case it is just straightforward. It's all right, it's playable, and I think that just makes it a rare exception for a licensed game that's just fine, you know? And it didn't do anything exceptional in my opinion, but it didn't do anything too frustrating either. You just go to every level, get all of the golden spatulas that you can, get all of your collectibles, and then you progress to the next level, and then occasionally it's broken up by these boss fights that are basically giant robot versions of our characters. So you'll fight like this robot Patrick and this robot Sandy Cheeks, this robot SpongeBob SquarePants, but that's basically it in terms of bosses, and just the whole game is basically exactly what you would expect here. It's kind of fun if you're a big SpongeBob SquarePants fan. However, I felt like there's a lot of fan service for those fans. Sometimes like on the posters and the pictures on the wall are scenes from the TV show, like funny memes that have become popular on the internet, and as you're playing through these characters, they will say popular quotes from the TV show. I'm sure I miss out on a ton of references here, but there's just a couple things, like when I'm playing as Patrick Star, he'll say, "Get along, little doggy," and I kind of remember him saying that in one of the TV show episodes. When you go to like Squidward's house, there's that picture like of his face, and it looks all fancy, and he has it framed up on his wall. Now they got most of the original voice cast here, at least I feel like it sounds like the original voice cast, except Mr. Krabs does not sound like Mr. Krabs at all. He sounds like a cheap impersonator. But as far as the humor and the tone and even the music, they are all very SpongeBob. It's got the narrator who talks like this, and then as you are fighting like a boss fight, that realistic fish head will come in, and he'll like announce like, "Oh, that's gotta hurt," and it's all very SpongeBob. If you fall off a ledge, that realistic hand that is in the intro of SpongeBob SquarePants will like slide into the screen and pick him up. Just a lot of things like that. Even if you stand still as like Patrick Star, he'll do that one weird little gasping face that has become a meme on the internet. If you really like SpongeBob SquarePants, I mean, you can't really go wrong here. The music is like that ukulele kind of string music that's popular in SpongeBob SquarePants. As far as the graphics goes, you can tell that it's been remastered, but visually it still kind of looks like a GameCube era-esque game. Maybe just a little more polished because of this remaster. The edges are a little more smooth. But other than that though, it controls and feels very much like a game of that era. I definitely liked other 3D platformers of this ilk better, but it's just a solid 3D platformer. I think I might prefer to go play a game like A Hat in Time or something like that, but as far as licensed games go, you can't really go wrong with SpongeBob SquarePants in my opinion. It's a shorter game, especially if you don't 100% complete it, and it is actually pretty easy to 100% complete this game because you can just go to the level, see the grayed out spatula, and it will tell you what the objective is in order to obtain that, and you can just instantly teleport to that location, which I thought is actually pretty nice and convenient if you are trying to backtrack and get all of the spatulas. But I just played through regularly. I didn't get all of the things that I possibly could, and it took me under 10 hours. So not that huge of a commitment if you aren't looking for that kind of thing. And then if you are, maybe you can just go through and 100% complete it. Find all of Patrick's socks and everything. Overall, it's just it's solid. It's good. I think I'd give this game a 3 out of 5. Well, guys, that's it for me. Let me know if you have any questions or comments about SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated, or SpongeBob in general, and I'd love to hear what you have to say. Otherwise, I'll talk to you later. Bye!